At one point, my dad actually thought that the people in the CD were in the speakers, and he insisted that we take the speaker down and we put it in his lap, and he would hold it like a child. And sometimes I think at that point, it almost hurt my feelings, because I think at that point the music was more real to him than we were. And again, we just unscrewed the speakers and we put it in his lap, and he'd hold it. And it calmed him down, it soothed him. And I think that was his way of making physical contact with the musicians, with someone. It was more real than we were, I think. I really hated that in the last place my dad was in, when I'd come in and people would just be gathered around the TV. And once I came in, there was a place before that my dad was in. It wasn't so good, and my sister actually kidnapped my father from the place on Father's Day and stole him away from there, because we didn't like it. She just went in and took him out and drove away. And it was not a good experience. And that place, everyone was sitting around, like 20 people with Alzheimer's, watching a TV. There was blood and shooting and like some sort of assault of sexual nature. No one was paying attention. It was violent Western that was on. I'd see people just sitting around the TV, and just upsets me. I would rather have them sitting around listening to a CD with jazz on it, or there are also videos by another woman. Oh, I've got this in my book as well. A woman has put together a video of some people singing around the piano, and you can put that on, and everyone just gathers around and sings along. Like I would much rather have that than something. Or Wheel of Fortune. Okay, why is Wheel of Fortune on all the time in every home I go into? Do older people like Wheel of Fortune?
7 o'clock.
Okay. Wheel of Fortune. Okay. Maybe that's something that's part of their lives. It's in every place I've ever been to. There it is. Wheel of Fortune. Anyway. You enjoy it anyway. I'm not being judgmental anyway. But, in the Wall Street Journal, I also find this article, and I know I'm talking so much about music, but I think that other things in a person's life, like music, can be employed in a similar way. And I found this article called Even When Memory Slips, Golf Sticks. It's from April of 2009, I believe. And it talks about how some dementia and Alzheimer's care facilities take residents out on the green to play golf. And a golf course in the community just opens up the golf course to the person, to the group, lets them come on the greens for like an hour. They do drills. They teach they do it the way they would do young children, a tic-tac-toe grid, croquet-like series of arches. And this journalist who wrote the article says this is like a powerful mood-altering drug. And I've seen this. I see it with music. I see it with physical stuff. I'm sure it happens here with yoga and the other wonderful things they do here. The journalist says this is amazing, because people that were unable to do anything much for themselves inside the facility, if they come back out on the golf course, they start swinging the golf club, they start smiling, standing taller, even communicating in a whole new way. And he told the story of a woman. They didn't think she even talked. They took her out on the golf course. She remembered her life as a golfer. And of course it took her back, just like my dad, the dignity, that time when they felt good. They really thought she couldn't talk or move very well. And she gets up there and she's like, boom, and she starts talking in complete sentences. And she started actually talking about memories she had on the golf course. And I think that's just a great example of take them to a place that was comfortable for them before. And that they knew that it brings up memories, it brings you back to yourself. And it can awaken the mind and open a portal into the brain of someone with Alzheimer's disease. And I can't help thinking, how hard would it be for some golf course to open up, to let that happen, to have somebody allow that to happen, to come to their golf course, to come to their mini golf place, all these adventure golf places around here. Why couldn't you allow someone to bring some people there from a facility like an Alzheimer's facility, or bring your loved one there, I think it'd be an interesting thing to try. And I have other ideas too, weird ideas. So my father, he drove a lot. Like many dads in the Detroit area who were raising their families and working in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, he was what I call a car guy. His car was a symbol for him, of power, freedom, and it was his business. So taking the keys away from him about 14 years ago was awful. And so in summer, we'd let him drive the boat, and he just loved it. He'd be like, float boat, And he just sort of got his pride back, And I thought, how could I give him back that sense of pride when it's not in the summer, he's not driving a boat? What could I do? So I started taking him to, it's not a place I admit to my friends like in San Francisco and stuff that I go. I fell in love with Walmart and Target, because they have those wonderful motorized shopping carts. And he would just sit right down. He figured out how to turn it on, And he drove beautifully down the aisles. And the minute he got in that, he just smiled, and little kids would go by and go, hello. And he'd wave like, Miss America, driving. And I'd get a cart too, and we'd drive down the aisles together. I think Walmart was like, oh my God, it's that crazy Marilyn Geist and her father. They'd come here again to terrorize us. He only crashed into the edge of something once. Like, we didn't knock over anything. It was not dangerous. I mean, he goes so slow. And little kids waving, and he just smiled again. He had this sense of pride. So on days when I realized he was in a bad mood, I'd just take him and drive around Walmart. He was better, like the rest of the day. And I really wish they could, like, invent dodging cars for people with Alzheimer's to drive. Like a big rubberized one, I guess there'd be insurance problems. We'll get, like, Maggie or somebody here at Tango to do some thinking about this. How could you recreate the driving atmosphere for someone with Alzheimer's? So the physical skills that we developed in my father, I think, as well as the music, really helped. And anything you can do like that is going to change your experience as a caregiver. The pride, the muscle memory music can bring, physical activities. He threw a frisbee until recently. We got him to play tennis. As he reached his 16-year mark with Alzheimer's, he was playing tennis. His reflexes continued to be amazing because we kept him going. I'd like to mention another article, too, about in Neurology Now. This is a 2009 issue of Neurology Now. It's about a man named Lester Potts, who'd been a lumberman and a carpenter. He got Alzheimer's. He wasn't even able to safely wield a hammer or nail anymore, and that was all he'd done. These were the tools of his trade. He was a carpenter, a handyman. This is what he defined himself by. So he was injuring himself with a hammer and nails, and they had to take it all away. And he went downhill. He became morose. And he did what a lot of people say is he was spiritually dying, and soon after, physical death was expected because there was no reason for him to live anymore. And his family kept saying, what else can we do? We don't know anything else he does. He has no other hobbies. This is all he did. Well, his son was a neurologist, and he just stepped into the situation, and he took him to a fabulous facility in Alabama called Caring Days. I don't know if you guys know about it. And they started working with him, and they said, okay, he can't do his carpentry anymore. That's dangerous. We have to find something new. I think this is a wonderful thing, too, because an artist who was in the community was volunteering, which I believe so much that volunteers in a community can change the lives of people in facilities like this and Alzheimer's facilities and nursing homes across the country. I so wish more and more people would volunteer and make their presences be known in these places, but I think people don't want to walk in to a nursing home until they have to. I think it's so hard to get someone to walk in the door. And this guy was an artist, and he said, you know what, let's just... And other families said, he can't paint, he can't draw, he doesn't do anything, he just does carpentry. And he said, no, this is a man who's different now, he has Alzheimer's. There might be some new talents inside this guy. So he gives a paintbrush to this man, Lester Potts. The guy starts painting and drawing. He discovers this newfound talent. This was part of a college outreach program, by the way, this professor of art came in. So Lester Potts just took to it right away. He ended up painting these beautiful paintings, and he became a nationally acclaimed artist. Even though he had Alzheimer's about 6 years at that point. He started having his own shows, which he would attend, standing next to his paintings, and he raised thousands of dollars for the Alzheimer's Association through these shows that he gave. He painted more than 75 paintings after checking into the facility. And his son says toward the end, when his father could no longer speak, he drew paintings of familiar childhood images, his father's hat, shoes, trees, his son. So he said the last days of his life, he died as a well-known artist, an artist with Alzheimer's. And I just think that is such a sign of hope, for all of us. And there's so much more I want to say, and I blabbed so much, but I just wanted to leave on a really hopeful note. I really think these are also things that you can do with your loved one. Find things that you can do together like that. Also, let yourself have time away. I'm finding such signs of hope everywhere. I think things are changing. I think this facility is a sign of things that are changing and making things easier for caregivers as well as people with Alzheimer's and other diseases, caregivers in general. I ran into a woman named Connie Tamino while I was doing some research, and she talked about when she went on the dementia units, she actually saw long ago, it was in the mid-70s when it was really bad, she saw people who were actually tied up and with nasal gastric tubes, their hands in mitts and wheelchairs. She was told these people could not speak, that it was sort of over for those people. She was studying music therapy. She walked onto the floor. She said these people were catatonic. And she was told there's no hope. She walked down the unit and she just started singing, "Let me call you sweetheart." And the people who had been catatonic opened their eyes and started looking at her. And some of the agitated people calmed down. And she said, it's amazing the healing power of music, and who knows what other ways people can communicate. And she has continued to study, and she says one guy she started working with, he wouldn't respond to music at all. And she found out that he only knew Jewish Hebrew songs. She found a Hebrew lullaby. She started singing a Hebrew lullaby. He started coming back to life after not speaking for 2 years. And soon afterwards started speaking again, and then after not recognizing his wife for a year, suddenly remembered his wife's name. And he died being able to communicate. And I just think, this speaks to what I believe. There's always, always a way to communicate. There's always a way to communicate, whether it's through touch or music or holding or just even looking in their eyes. I think we are often so sad in our role as a caregiver that we sometimes almost don't want to connect sometimes. But I'm saying do, look into their eyes, hold their hands, find a way. And it will make it better for you too. But you're also allowed to leave, and you're also allowed to go on vacation and have some time for yourself. I wanted to say that since the book came out, so much has happened, and you may have seen my father featured in the HBO documentary, The Alzheimer's Project, which was executive produced by Maria Shriver. The section my father is in the documentary is called The Memory Tapes, and it shows him singing in one of his last performances on stage with his a cappella group. The series had a huge impact and helped to get the word out about the healing power of music. And one of the best things that's come out of the book is that groups of a cappella singers are organizing to go into nursing homes, assisted living, and residential facilities across the U.S. And they're calling this movement Woody's Voices, which I love. It means a lot to me. And I just want to say, too, I just think there are high school kids and musicians all over and communities all over that could come and use empty rooms and pianos. And I'm just hoping in the future that I'm trying to make that happen more. And the book has now been optioned by a man named Lou Adler. You may have heard of him. He's a music producer and director. And it's so cool to be here right now because he just called me 2 weeks ago to say that Kevin Kline is interested in playing my father, which would be so cool. And he would just be the perfect guy to do it because he's a musician. He played Cole Porter. And he wants me to write the screenplay too, which I don't know if I can do it. I think many of you know my father died on March 17th, and my family started the Woody Geist Memorial Fund to create music programs for people living with Alzheimer's through the Alzheimer's Association. So I'm hoping someday music and music therapists will be present in every nursing home and Alzheimer's facility across the U.S., and that there will be a way to bring music and music therapy and creative one-on-one caregiving into every home where someone is living with Alzheimer's. That's my dream. So I wrote the book for many reasons, and I'm hoping it's so caregivers take pride in what they're doing. Now, I'm honoring all of you for what you're doing. It's a wonderful thing you're doing. And like the path I was on, I learned so much. I write about in the book about patience, about my own self, and I hope you take this opportunity to learn about you too. I know it's the hardest work you'll ever do, and some of it is just very, very difficult and horrible. But as I wrote in the book, now for the first time in many years, I don't identify myself by my career. My values and priorities and how I think about the world have changed immensely. I define myself and my life in a whole new way. These days, it is the measure of the heart that matters most to me. I can only hope that my heart will be as large as my father's is when I begin to leave this world. There's another quote I found from Mother Teresa. If we have no peace, it is because we have forgotten we belong to each other. Coming home to help my mother take care of my father has helped me belong in the world in a way I never belonged before. When I was pursuing my career as a broadcast journalist in LA, San Francisco, and New York. And ultimately, my father and mother have taught me so much in these past 6 years about patience and compromise and a great love that has survived the ravages of a disease that robs loved ones of memories. In the page before the preface to my book, I use the Herman Melville quote, "Life is a journey that's homeward bound. I feel that I'm finally home in my heart." The poet Adrienne Rich wrote these words, "I'm thinking how we can use what we have to invent what we need. And in the coming years, as the number of people with Alzheimer's and the number of caregivers grows, we're going to have to address this healthcare crisis with creativity and resourcefulness. As we look to the future, we're all going to have to use what we have to invent what we need." Now, my father remained an optimist to the very end, and I wanted to tell you one of the last sentences my father said before he died was, "Aren't we lucky?" And that's how I feel today. I know the gatherings like this one are going to comfort and support and help caregivers as well as people living with Alzheimer's in the future. So I want to thank all of you again. I want to thank Maggie and everyone at Tanglewood. Thank you so much. The silence of my lonely